Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Now, this video is going to piss a lot of people off. It's going to frustrate you. It's going to upset you. It's going to make you, dwell on the question of, is our government trying to kill us with the food? I mean, the thing is, most people, when they walk into a supermarket, they got this conception that, just because the food is in the market, just because the store is allowed to sell certain foods, that the food is safe, for human consumption. It's safe to eat. It's safe for us to buy. When we pick up a package or, a bottle and we read the label, we expect that if it says, farm fresh or free range or, organic, that's exactly what it is. And that's not always the case, as you will see, in this video. Now, the problem is this, that not all of us is a nutritionist. We're not all, chemists. We can't, look at these foods and read the label and know, is it safe for human consumption? Is it safe for my body? Is it safe to eat? What are these chemicals? How is it going to affect me? We don't understand these things. But the corporations and companies that make these foods and make these drinks, they know exactly what the stuff is. They know if it's good for you or not, and they still put it out as being safe for human consumption when some of these foods and some of these drinks are banned in other countries because they are deemed unsafe for human consumption. Now, the thing is, no matter how you slice it, we gotta eat. We love food. People, as long as it's not going to kill me today, I'll run it off, or, I'll burn the calories, or it'll be fine. And we go out and we shop and we get what satisfies us, what makes us happy. And food makes people happy. And this is why, it's messed up that the stuff that they put in food to, make a buck, to destroy our health so they can make a buck, so they can make money. And, by the end of this video, a lot of your favorite foods, a lot of things that you like to eat, you probably won't eat ever again. Now, in 1962, the government adopted Codex Alimentarius. Now, some of you have heard of this. Now, Codex Alimentarius is basically guidelines, it's standards for, basically laws for food consumption. It basically tells us what food we can't eat, can and cannot eat. Now, their goal was to, by 2009, was to have Codex Alimentarius the standard for food consumption around the world. Now, think how far ahead they planned. We talk about from 1962, they was already planning for 2009 for this to be the standard for food consumption around the world. Now, what Codex Alimentarius has basically done was the UN, the World Health Organization, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, they basically set into motion Codex Alimentarius. And what it has basically done was say that, the foods that we eat, all of the nutrients, all of the protein, all the good stuff we have been getting from foods, from natural foods for thousands of years, is basically toxic. So they said all of the good nutrients, all of the good nutrition and protein and, all of the good things that we get from natural food. Listen to what I'm saying. Natural food is toxic and unfit for human consumption. So they said the food we've been eating for years, thousands of years, is not good for us. And in 1994, the World Trade Organization adopted Codex Alimentarius, and all of the countries that's involved in the World Trade Organization basically said, we adopted as well, and they took it in. And now you have these people telling us that good food is bad for us. So we got to do something about the good food. So this is basically, what Codex Alimentarius did. Take a look.
So what we're talking about is waking up one morning and being very surprised to find that high-potency, therapeutically effective, clinically significant nutrients are now illegal in the way that heroin is illegal. Not available with a prescription, illegal. If these nutrients have any impact on the human body, they are illegal. That's just the vitamin and mineral guideline. Let's talk about milk. We have recombinant bovine growth hormone, and now we can choose milk with it or milk without it, butter with it, butter without it, right? Not under Codex, because under Codex, every dairy cow on the planet must be treated with Monsanto's recombinant bovine growth hormone. Furthermore, under Codex, every animal used for food on the planet, whether it has fins, feet, or feathers, every animal on the planet must be treated with subclinical antibiotics. Must be treated with subclinical antibiotics and must be treated with exogenous growth hormones for the dangerous industrial chemicals that you can have in your food. And the limits are incredibly high. Go to Codex Alimentarius, do a Google search, and look, there are drop-down menus at the top of the official Codex page. Look at the toxins and the veterinary chemicals and the levels that are set. They are terrifying to me, terrifying. The names of the chemicals that are permitted and the amounts of the chemicals that are permitted are terrifying to me. Why am I terrified? Well, perhaps I'm just a cowardly person. It's possible. Think about this. In 2001, 176 countries, including the United States, got together and they said there are 12 really bad organic chemicals. They're called POPs, persistent organic pollutants. There are a lot of them, but there are 12 that are so bad that nobody could disagree that those 12 POPs had to be banned worldwide. 9 of the 12 worst organic chemicals known are pesticides, not surprisingly. Codex has different ideas. Codex has brought back 7 of the 9 forbidden POPs that 176 countries banned worldwide. Dieldrin, aldrin, hexachlorobenzene. And the food that is imported from other countries that contains these substances cannot be stopped at our borders, because otherwise it would be, God forbid, a trade violation. Codex has promulgated well over 4,000 guidelines, standards, and regulations on everything which can legally be put into your mouth, with the exception of pharmaceuticals. They are not part of Codex. Important. The Alimentarius Commission is administered by the World Health Organization, WHO, and the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization. They fund Codex and they run it at the request of the UN. So they're mommy and daddy to Codex Alimentarius. Here's the kicker. You ready for this one? If 2 countries go into the World Trade Organization dispute resolution process, and one of them is Codex compliant, and one of them is not Codex compliant, the one that is Codex compliant automatically wins regardless of the merit of the case. People are using Codex compliance as a weapon in a much bigger economic battle. He who controls food controls the world. You may not know that although it is said that Codex guidelines, regulations, and standards which have been ratified are voluntary, they are not voluntary. That is known as a lie. They are mandatory, but they are not fully mandatory until December 31st, 2009. They're sort of a little bit mandatory now, and they're totally mandatory then. Let's talk about the vitamin and mineral guideline first. In 1994, here in the United States, DSHEA, the Dietary Supplements, Health and Education Act, was passed, which classifies nutrients and herbs as foods. As foods, you can set no upper limit on them. You cannot set an upper limit on lettuce, lamb, or rutabagas, and similarly, you cannot set an upper limit on vitamin C, echinacea, ginkgo biloba, vitamin D. And access to nutrients is freely given to us. We are allowed to have any nutrients we want because, and this is a very important point, under common law, anything not forbidden is permitted. Codex, on the other hand, is a Napoleonic Code law system. Under Napoleonic Code, anything not permitted is forbidden. In 1994, Codex, with no notice here in this country whatsoever, declared nutrients, put on your intellectual seatbelts, declared nutrients to be toxins. They're poisons. Dangerous industrial poisons. As poisons, we have to be protected from them. Nutrients under Codex not only are limited to those nutrients on the positive list, and we anticipate there will be 18 of them, and they do not include CoQ10, glucosamine, chondroitin sulfate. They do include fluoride, which, to my knowledge as a physician, has absolutely no biological benefit whatsoever. But it does make people complacent. Fluoride was first used in the Gulag because it was discovered that prisoners who were fed fluoridated water were complacent and you could do anything you wanted to them. They were easy to manage. The more voices that say, this is what I want and you work for me, Mr. and Mrs. Bureaucrat and Mr. and Mrs. Congressman, Mr. and Mrs. Senator, the more voices, the more weight. Now, Congress uses a multiplier of 13,000 to 1. Every email, fax, phone call, letter. Don't write letters. They get decontaminated. They never get to Congress. Every email, fax, and phone call counts as 13,000 constituent opinions. They figure that if you write a letter or send an email, there are 12,999 lazy lunks who can't bother to get to the computer terminal to do the same thing, but they feel the way you do. Interesting. That's power, my friends. That's power. That's 13,000 to 1. So you have to remember that Codex does not serve consumer well-being, does not serve health. It serves what I call the 5 bigs. Big pharma, big chema, big biotechna, big agribiz, and big medica. Little you and little me are not served by Codex in the least.
So, from 1962 to 2009, while all that time was passing, while most of us was being born and growing up and thinking that, everything is fine and the government is cool, these people was coming up with laws, coming up with regulations and rules to take away good, clean, healthy, natural foods and replace it with dangerous foods with toxins and all kinds of chemicals. Now, think about what's being said here. Think about what they're basically saying. They're saying they're going to take away all the food that is good for you, the food that'll help you grow and fight off disease and everything that's good for you. They're going to take it away from you and give you food that's bad for you, food that is known to cause diseases, food that is known to cause cancer, and food that is known to kill you. And nobody's saying nothing. Nobody is saying nothing because they can't believe it. They can't fathom that the government would do such a thing because, they got to eat too. Congressmen and those senators, they got to go to the market, they got to feed their family. But these politicians would rather take a check from a lobbyist, take a bribe or what have you, than to stand up for what's right for the people. So 2009 came and went, and of course this is now the standard for food, around the world. Some countries, opt out of it. Obviously, they don't deal with a lot of this stuff that you're going to be seeing in this video. But here in America, we are basically subject to unhealthy foods because after thousands of years of people living with no kind of chemicals and no kind of anything, eating natural, good, wholesome foods, these people said that, good is bad, it's toxic, it's going to kill you. And they replaced it with food that we know is bad, that we know is toxic, and we know is killing people. There have been many scientists, many independent scientists, many independent nutritionists and chemists who have done studies on this food, and they have all come up with the same conclusion that, these foods will kill you, they are not safe, they are toxic, they will cause problems with your health, they will cause obesity, they will cause heart problems, and we just sit back and we accept it. Now, to go along with their plan in 2009, in 2010, Senate Bill S510 was presented. Now, this bill is basically saying that they're going to make it illegal for you to grow, share, trade, and sell homegrown foods. So you can't grow your own food, you can't give it away, you can't sell it. It's going to be illegal according to this bill. Now, understand this. I can go to the pharmacy, right? I can buy a bottle of Tylenol PM, and I can walk outside and I can give it to whoever walking by, knowing that if they take that whole entire bottle of pills, it's going to kill them. But there is no law against that. There's no bill passed for me to give a bottle of pills that's dangerous, that we know is going to kill somebody if they take the whole bottle. There's no law for that. Cigarettes, we all know, highly dangerous. I can walk into a store, I can buy a whole carton of cigarettes. I can then go outside and give them to somebody, the whole carton, and say, here, smoke all these. We know they're not going to smoke them all at once, but we know that those cigarettes could kill them. It could cause lung cancer. It could cost somebody their life, but there is no law against that. But if I want to grow some vegetables and I want to go outside and feed a starving family or a homeless man, that's illegal, according to this bill. Now, your congressman in the House of Representatives basically took a look at this whole thing and said, you know what, this is ludicrous, this is crazy, we can't pass this bill, and it didn't pass. But the Senate basically said, fuck y'all, the lobbyists paid us our money, so we're going to pass this whole law. And on January 4th, 2011, Obama signed into law what is called the Food Modernization Act. And basically, it takes away the power from the organic farmer, the person who, grows natural foods and does food the right way. It takes away the power from them and basically puts it in the hand of the government, and they decide what is safe and, what we can and cannot eat in this country. So, of course, this is crazy. So this is just more proof that, corporations control government, that lobbyists influence senators, not the politics. So corporations like Monsanto and DuPont get to make GMOs and all kinds of chemicals to spray on your food. Now, GMOs, genetically modified organisms, is basically when they take a species and they take a gene from a species and they force it into another species. Now they do this so that, the plants will basically survive all of the chemicals and, all of the pesticides they're going to have to spray on it. They do it with animals so that the animals will survive all of the antibiotics, all of the drugs they're going to pump into it. So when you see these farms, and these farms are full of, just cows and chickens, and they are packed in, to one area, this breeds disease and bacteria. The animals start getting sick, they get depressed, and they gotta, start pumping them with these drugs, to keep them going. And, after a while, they can only take but so much. So eventually they have to put the animal down, and, all them chemicals ends up in your food, ends up in your vegetables, ends up in your meat. So then they have to spray it with more chemicals so, it'll survive the trip. It'll survive the trip from the factory or from the slaughterhouse to the processing plant, from the processing plant to the supermarket. And, they put an expiration date on it. And, once you take it home, you think that you're getting fresh food or fresh milk, and you have no idea that it contains all these chemicals, beforehand, and then even more chemicals so it can have a longer shelf life. So now every single independent study of GMOs shows that GMOs are dangerous. They cause cancer, they cause disease, they cause tumors, they cause, accelerated aging. They speed up the aging process. Every independent study on GMOs shows that we should not be eating them, that they are unfit for human consumption, yet the FDA and your government allows this food to be sold when it's clearly killing people. Take a look.
Monsanto's own research shows that when rats were fed this BT corn, they had signs of toxicity in the liver and kidneys. When genetically modified soybeans were fed to rodents, we've seen changes in the testicles changing from pink to blue, changes in the sperm cells, changes in the uterus and ovaries, in the DNA functioning of the embryo offspring.
In 2001, a small California biotech company called Epicite patented a gene, which causes both men and women who eat it, in the form of any product, to produce antibodies to sperm. If the men eat the Epicite gene, they produce antibodies to their own sperm, rendering them irreversibly sterile. If women eat the Epicite gene, when they have intercourse, their bodies produce antibodies to the sperm that has been deposited, and they become infertile through the destruction of the sperm. Now, DuPont and Monsanto formed a joint venture, purchased the Epicite firm, and, quote, commercialized the Epicite gene. Do you want to know if the food that you're eating contains the Epicite gene? Sure you do. How about the food that your children are eating, or your grandchildren? Sure you do.
We've seen smaller babies, a death rate that's 5 times that compared to controls. Sterile babies, even babies with hair growing in their mouths. And this has been done by government scientists as well as independent scientists who are at the top of their field.
Pay close attention to what you're about to see. These rats have been fed with transgenic corn during their entire life cycle. The tumors they suffer from are enormous. The study that revealed the effect of the GMOs on the health of these rats has just been completed. It lasted for 2 years.
We spent over a year trying to obtain transgenic corn because no GMO manufacturers were willing to provide them. This is because Monsanto requires contracts to be signed stipulating that the seeds must not be used for testing. We wanted our study to be independent.
Every rat was dissected to identify the way each diet, GMO and Roundup on its own, had acted on the metabolism of each animal, focusing on the development rate of the tumors that only start to manifest themselves after the initial 3-month period.
Each step up represents a large tumor, which can measure 17 millimeters by 17 millimeters. 94% of them take effect in the mammary glands, which would equate to breast cancer in a woman. We are faced with renal tumors for the males. Some males also suffer from mammary tumors.
One could have thought that the main cause of death was coming from the pesticide added to the corn. But what the study highlighted, and this for the first time ever, is the fact that the transgenesis itself could have killed the rats. What this means is that just by interfering with the genome of the plant in order to modify it, we are faced with repercussions that no one could have anticipated. This is enough to make us reconsider all the scientific precepts that led to the creation of GMOs.
We realized that GMOs without any Roundup residue were responsible for an increase in the death rate of females and of some males. This is the GMO that is being eaten by the Americans, but also the GMO that has been approved for importation by European agencies, and that contaminates our food.
So how do they allow them to put out these GMOs? How do they allow them to put out this food when it's clearly dangerous? And then they put these labels on the food saying that the food is good for you and the food is this, when the food is clearly not safe for human consumption. Then they make these commercials and, they use families and actors and cartoons to trick you into believing that this food is good and that it's safe. And you look at these commercials and you realize they spent millions of dollars on these commercials. So you thinking, well, okay, they're trying to sell us a good, healthy product. You don't understand when you go into the market that this food can cause cancer. It could kill you later on. So, when you die of cancer, the doctor just say, well, yeah, he died of cancer. They don't tell you that you died from, eating from chickens that's, pumped with all kinds of chemicals and drugs or whatever like that. They don't tell you this stuff. You have to spend thousands of dollars to get an independent autopsy done, to get a toxicology report, to figure out exactly what killed you. So your family's going to be spending thousands. People don't got this kind of money to spend to figure out what happened. When a doctor say you just died of cancer, you say, you just figure it's something that happens in life. When you have millions of people with cancer, people dying of cancer, and it's your food that you eat that's causing the cancer. And the study has been done. It's right there, but don't nobody seem to care, what's going on. Meanwhile, they're harassing all these farmers, the FDA, kicking all these farmers out and destroying their food and destroying their crops, destroying natural food that's good for you, food that is safe for human consumption. They are destroying this food. Now, organic farmers, they grow foods that don't require any pesticides, any herbicides, or any chemical fertilizers. So organic farmers, they basically cover their plants, they rotate the crops, they use plant waste and insects that's beneficial to the soil, insects that basically keep away other insects that's, that harm your crop. This is what they do. These people really take care of the food the way it's supposed to be. But the government is acting like, we haven't been growing, completely natural foods, for thousands of years and been eating it. And we still here today. Mankind still exists. And this is how, how we've been farming for thousands of years, eating natural foods with no kind of, pesticides or any kind of drugs or anything like that, pumped into the food. Nothing to make it, have a longer shelf life. But this is what they give us. Now, we all have this conspiracy theory that, I'm not going to call it a conspiracy theory, there's a lot of truth to it, as you can see, that our government basically wants to, kill off billions of people to make the population more easy to control. Now, what they have done with passing this law is they have effectively put a clock on, your lifespan, on the lifespan of humans. Now, once they control the entire world's food supply, that's game. Because you got to eat. You got to eat food. You got to eat these GMOs if this is all they're giving you. Once they eventually control everything, you won't have a choice. You either eat, or you starve to death. So now even when you go to the supermarket and you get, milk or you get food that says organic, you still have to be careful. You can't read the label and think that just because it says organic, that it's truly organic. Now, a lot of foods, a lot of things make it to the shelf and, it's not completely organic. It contains some kind of pesticides or some kind of chemical that, help it stay on the shelf longer, give it a longer shelf life, or they use some kind of chemical, at some point in the process of making this food, but they put a label that says organic and you trust it because, that's what the label says. Now, it's a lot of foods that's put out there that is unsafe for human consumption that's basically banned, in other countries, yet, they sell it to us here in America and we eat it and we drink it because we think it's safe. So now if you drink milk here in America, then, your milk contains, the bovine growth hormone. Now this bovine growth hormone is basically, they take this natural hormone that's in cows. And this hormone is basically, it occurs naturally when the cow is pumping milk. Now, what they do is they take this hormone and they modify it and they inject it into the cow at, different points of time. So basically, when a cow is pumping milk, this hormone is produced naturally. It's a natural hormone, but they extracted the hormone and they added some stuff to it, and they actually just pump it in the cow so that it simulates the whole sensation of the cow pumping milk when it's not pumping milk. So what this does is it forces the cow to pump milk when it's not wanting to pump milk. So the cow is constantly, being over pumped of milk, constantly pumping milk. They do this to get more milk out the cow, but it's not healthy for the cow, and it causes, pus to come out sometimes with the milk, and that pus gets mixed up with your milk. And they don't separate the stuff. They add chemicals to it to mix it out, and you don't know none of this stuff. If you go to an organic milk farm, when you see them pumping the milk, you see how it comes out. I don't know if anybody ever went there. I went a long time ago when I was a kid and tasted the milk fresh from a cow, which we're not supposed to be drinking cow milk in the first place, but that's a different story. But it's cow milk. It's it's for cows, for calves. You're not supposed to be drinking calf milk, cow milk. This milk is produced when it comes out. It's supposed to go to a calf, and it's it's nutrients, it's stuff in that milk for this baby calf to grow up to be this big giant cow. So to give it to a human being is crazy. And then when you give it to us and it's not natural and you pump it with all kinds of chemicals, then stuff happens. And there's many other foods and drinks that you like to drink and things that you like to eat that's basically allowed here in America but are banned in other countries in Europe. Mountain Dew, any kind of citrus flavored drink is banned in a lot of countries. Sports drinks and drinks that contain flame retardants, and this is why they're banned, because they contain flame retardants. They contain BVO, which is basically brominated vegetable oil. It depresses the nervous system and could lead to rashes or fatigue, acne, other health issues if you drink this stuff. So BVOs. Now, a lot of people, we look at this stuff, we don't know what the hell a BVO is. We don't know what brominated vegetable oil is. You never heard of it before. You just get a Mountain Dew, you drink it because it tastes good. You see in the commercial, you like the stuff. Mountain Dew used to be like my favorite soda, but when you drinking this stuff and you realize it's causing rashes, it's causing, your nervous system to slowly shut down. I mean, it's a drink. You would never think or fathom that you would go and buy this drink that they selling to you, and it's really causing rashes and causing all these health issues. And we get sick, and we get headaches out of nowhere, and stuff happens to us, and we never connect the food, the small stuff that we drink, like a soda or a sports drink, a citrus drink, to these issues. So now you have like artificial food flavoring, dyes, stuff that's like in macaroni and cheese, and stuff that's in like flavored crackers or Jello. This stuff contains red number 40, yellow 5, 6, or blue number 2. They are known to cause behavior problems in children, cancer, and even birth defects. Now, this stuff is banned in Europe and Australia. I noticed when I went to Sweden that they didn't have, macaroni and cheese with a little powder package of cheese in it, except when I went to the American store. They actually have American stores in some countries in Europe, so you can get, those foods specifically from an American store, but they let you know, what this stuff contains, and they let you know it's not good for you, and it's only sold at their stores, but most of the other stores don't sell it. And usually those American stores, I know when I went in there, a lot of people don't even really go in to buy, that kind of stuff. People go in to get like candy and stuff like that. But, the government over there don't mass produce this stuff. They import it. And of course, you can buy anything online at your own risk, but they don't sell it in their supermarkets. So now another food like Rice Krispies and Tyson's Chicken, Ruffles, Lay's, Doritos, any of those foods that say fat-free or contain olein, which can cause diarrhea. They can affect the body's ability to absorb certain vitamins. Farm-raised salmon is banned in a lot of countries, the GMOs. Many countries look at this food and they see what's in it and they try to protect their people. There's no way in the world you can't have, 10%, 5% of the population dying from eating food. This is something that's going to get out. The people are going to be outraged. And it seems like, Americans, we don't care. We don't give a damn what's in the food. We don't care what they're putting in it. We got our fetishes. We like certain things. People, you got your snacks. We all got our little snacks that you keep in a drawer on the side of the bed. And we know what we like to eat at night. And we know stuff, we call it guilty pleasures, stuff that we like to eat that we know we ain't supposed to. But, you eat this stuff and you're not thinking it's going to cause cancer. You're not thinking this is the reason why you keep getting these little headaches. You're not thinking this is the reason why these rashes and, you scratching all the time because you're eating these certain foods. You think the food is safe because you bought it in the supermarket. And, in America, we can sue. You get sick, you can sue, and you don't think these people will put this stuff in the food, because if you get sick and you trace it back to them, you can sue them for millions of dollars. And a lot of people actually do, who, when they do these studies. But we're not fathoming that it comes, the food comes with this kind of, risk. And like I said, if you're not a chemist, if you're not a nutritionist, and you can't turn over a bag of chips and read all the stuff that's on there and understand exactly what the stuff is, then you're not going to know. It's just a bag of chips. You're just trying to, I'm trying to get a Dorito. I'm not trying to get cancer. Now, I can also tell you from experience that when you go to Europe, when you go to certain countries, you can literally taste the difference in food. I never forget the first time I tasted relish, overseas in Europe. The stuff tastes like real pickles. Like they really took a pickle, a fresh pickle, and chopped it up and made the relish. In America, when you eat relish, it's kind of, slimy and it's like sweet and it got like this gel to it. And it's like, I noticed that consistency of the relish here versus, when I was in Sweden or when I was in London. The relish is totally different. The relish in Sweden, when I ate it, tastes exactly like pickles. And it's so much of a big difference that you notice it immediately. You notice the taste of food like chicken and stuff like that over there immediately. Chickens are smaller over there. You don't got these big giant, breasts and stuff like that. Over in Europe, you got like, a normal sized chicken breast that's not, pumped up with all kinds of stuff, and when you eat it, it tastes fresh. The food tastes good. It's, you're getting a good quality product. You're not worried about all kinds of chemicals and stuff, because the people in Europe don't play. They will tear the place down if they find out that you're putting, all kinds of chemicals out there. So, we get confused in America because you turn on the news sometimes and the news is doing a report on, don't go to such and such store and buy this product because it contains salmonella. And the whole thing is, when a product is highly contaminated, they have to put out a news report, because one, that corporation has to save the ass of the other corporation. So if you know that you put out a whole, rack of contaminated yogurt, you can't have 65, 70, 100 people dying of, salmonella and stuff like that, on the spot, or that fast, because it's going to be a huge lawsuit for that corporation. So, the news put out that whole report to try to keep people from, eating that stuff, to basically save the corporation millions of dollars. And that's one of the reasons why they do it. And it's not really to, because they looking out for you or trying to help you out. It's to save the people millions of dollars. It's to save that corporation from going into bankruptcy, and from the people from basically burning down the damn supermarket once they find out that, not only could the yogurt have salmonella, but the chicken could as well, and a bunch of other products in the store is highly contaminated. When you go into these supermarkets, like I said, you have no clue what the stuff is, what they're selling. If you don't know, I mean, you expect the food to be a good quality product. Then these motherfuckers got a nerve to charge you so much money. You know, you paying all this money for food and it's killing you. I mean, that's the crazy part. That's the part that, you know, gets me upset. You know, food here is expensive when you want to get that good quality meat, or the meat you think is good quality. Little do you know, this stuff is pumped with all kinds of chemicals and stuff like that, and you paying an arm and a leg for it, thinking that it's good when it's not. So one corporation basically helps another at the expense of the consumer. So you got to eat. You got to go shop. You got to buy food. You eat this food. This food makes you sick. So now you leave from that corporation. You go to the medical field. So then you got to go see a doctor. You got to keep seeing doctors to run all these tests on you and tell you exactly what's wrong with you and what has happened to you. So that's another corporation that sends you to another corporation, which is the pharmaceutical corporation, to give you all kinds of drugs to combat, the stuff that the first corporation did to you. And, we get passed down the line, corporation to corporation, and, we constantly ingesting this harmful food. Now, this food basically robs you of your energy. It robs you of, your day to day. So, if you eating foods, if you in good shape, if you work out, you in, good shape, and, you eat foods, and all of a sudden after you just got finished eating a meal, you sleepy, you tired, you sit down and you like, man, you start falling asleep. Now we call that the itis. I got the itis, man. I'm about to go to sleep. I just bust a grub. So you start getting sleepy, but you thinking that, we make jokes about it, but really, what you just ate was bad food. That food was not good for you. No food should be stealing your energy. Food is supposed to give you energy. You're not supposed to be getting sleepy after you eat a cheeseburger. That means that cheeseburger was not healthy. It's not good for you. It's stealing your energy. Now, if you go run, you go out jogging, and you stop for a little bit, you take a break, you start to drink some water, fresh glass of water or fresh bottle of water. What happens when you drink that fresh, clean water? It gives you energy. You get energized from it. This is what food is supposed to do. When you eat food, you're not supposed to be getting sleepy. You're supposed to get energy from the food. That's its purpose. We eat food without even realizing that the purpose for eating food is to gain energy. We eat food to, indulge ourselves, to satisfy, a craving that we have. We don't eat foods today for the right reasons. Animals, when they go and hunt, a lot of them, they don't eat because they just want to hunt. They eat because it's a need. They're going to need that food. They're going to need to be able to, to store that fat. And, this is the purpose of hunting. This is why you go eat, to give you energy so you can survive, not so you can just say, oh man, damn, that shit look good, I want to go get that. And then you eat it and it's, sucking the energy from you, and, you falling asleep thinking that, you done did something, you happy, fat and happy, and you're not realizing that this stuff is killing you. This stuff is harmful to your body. And this is the thing. So, when you drink, when you look at most of these drinks that you drink today, go look in your refrigerator, and almost everything that you drink besides water, you'll see high fructose corn syrup. And almost everything. This stuff is deadly. It's toxic. It causes impotence. The stuff will kill you, seriously. And it's in almost every single drink that we have, your sodas, a lot of your fruit drinks, and stuff is dangerous. And they don't put a warning label on the bottle to warn you that this stuff could cause you serious bodily harm, if you ingest it. So the problem we face, that we all face, is, we love food. Food is essential. The first thing you do when you are born, when an animal is born, the first thing it do as well is it wants to feed. We have been conditioned since birth to, to eat food and to love certain foods. When you grow up, it's hard to let go of those foods. It's hard, when you find out that something is, not safe to eat, to just let it go. It's like an addiction. It's hard to, be eating meat your entire life, and then, you find out, oh, wait a minute, you shouldn't be eating meat. It's hard to let go of that. So it's something we have been conditioned to do, and it's a problem that we all face, is that we have been conditioned our entire life to love certain foods, and we couldn't fathom that, the food would kill us, that it's harmful to us, and that, our government, our parents, people that we trust would actually sell us something that could kill us. Now, the whole thing is, if you poor, if you on a, fixed income, if you got food stamps or something like that, you can't afford to go out and buy the best quality foods. Everybody can't afford to go shop at Whole Foods, so you go shop at Walmart. But little do you know that, about 54% of the food that's sold in Walmart is basically banned in, Whole Foods. It's banned there. 54% of the food, over half of the store, the food sold in Walmart is banned in Whole Foods. But, everybody can't afford to go there. So I can't simply, sit here and say, eat organic or buy organic, because everybody can't afford it. Some people would rather eat food that's bad for them. Some people would rather eat, that unhealthy bag of chips than to starve. So, you got to do what you got to do. And this is the dilemma that we face, because it's not easy for people to just, spend the limited amount of money that they get for food on, high priced, overpriced, healthy food. And then 9 times out of 10, that food is not even 100% healthy itself. This is a problem that we face. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, because we got to wake up and see that, we have given away the power of the most essential product of life, which is food. We have given away the power of our food supply to a crooked, crazy, sick government system, to corporations that's bent on profit and not quality. And how do we do that? How do we let them get control of that? It's like letting somebody get control of the air, and now they pumping you all kinds of different kinds of air, and you gotta buy certain kinds of air. I mean, this is what we have done with the food. And we love to breathe. We gotta breathe to survive. So we gotta eat to survive. Eating is fun. Eating makes you happy. So for us to have allowed the government to get control of that, we got to do something about it. We got to take that control back, and we got to start looking at this food and saying, how the hell is this food being allowed? It's being allowed to be, sold to children and sold, in our neighborhood stores, and allowed to be, consumed, by human beings. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask that question, what's safe to eat? What should I eat? What kind of food should I be buying? And the whole thing is, what that question is, it's basically up to you. It's on you, because you by this time should be able to understand what you should and should not put in your body. Now, what I mean by saying, it's up to you, is that how far are you willing to go? Are you willing to change the diet that you have been on, that you have put yourself on your entire adult life? If you are willing to do that, then, you need to really get into nutrition. You need to understand that you got to eat electric foods, food that's safe for human consumption, for a spiritual body, not a material body. And I say it that way because that is really the truth. That you need to be feeding your spiritual body and not your fleshly body. I know that sounds crazy because, food goes into, this human body, but, you don't want to put nothing in it that's going to destroy your energy and destroy this, this vessel, this body that you're in. And this is what this food is doing. So, that I can give you a whole entire list of stuff that you should eat. And most of you're not going to like it. You're going to taste it. It's not going to taste good to you. You're going to want to add stuff to it. And then after a while, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to go back to eating the stuff that you like. So it's better for you to go on this journey yourself. And, if you know about Dr. Sebi, a lot of people know about Dr. Sebi. Listen to Dr. Sebi, because he gives you all that kind of information of what you should and should not put into your body. But I'm going to tell you now, if you're a cheater, if you can't go to the gym and work out, on a consistent basis, to keep yourself in shape, I'm telling you, this whole food journey is going to be 10 times as hard, because, the food is in your house. So one of the things you're going to need to have is, hopefully, access to the refrigerator and it's just you. You don't have to worry about nobody else's food in there that's next to yours, and everything in there is yours. And it's, you can just fill your house with clean, safe food, and that's all that you eat. And I'm gonna tell you, because I've been on this journey for a while now, where you trying to put food in your body that's clean, that's healthy, that's safe. You're trying to stay away from certain foods, and it's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of discipline to do that, and at the same time, exercise and keep yourself in good shape. So this is a journey. This is something that you have to consciously, put together on your own. Put together a plan, stick to the plan, learn what you like. And that's one of the biggest pieces of information I want to give to you about healthy food, is to learn what you like. Because one of the things that's going to happen is, you know what you like to eat now as far as healthy food. Like, you like fried chicken, or you like to eat pizza. You got to figure out what organic food or what safe food that's out there that you got that taste for, that you can add to your favorite food list, and then make up that list of foods that taste good. I like black bean burgers, good food. So make that list, stick to that list, and then just slowly try to wean yourself off of the bad foods, and stick to this new diet, exercise, and eat right, and you'll start to see the changes. Now, one of the things that frustrate me is when you see people give out good advice, or you see somebody give a good speech to a crowd of people. I always had this thought that most of these people are not going to listen to it. You can see somebody talk to they blue in the face and, give a good speech. The pastor do it Sunday in church all the time. He gives that good sermon, and, he hits a lot of points, and people walk out of church and just like they ain't hear nothing. It's like, okay, we out of church now. We don't got to listen to none of that stuff. And the whole thing is, when people give good information, a lot of people don't follow it. And it's like, what's the point? What's the point of putting out this information when people just gonna let it go in one ear out the other, and just act like you didn't say all that stuff you just said? So, when I put out information, I put it out hoping that you take something away from it, that you actually, instill the information in your day-to-day, or, just your to-do list, something to do, something I need to think about, something I need to do, more research on, and that you actually understand what's being said. Now, when it comes to this whole food thing, this is something that is, really serious, because it affects us every single day. Somebody probably eating right now, and we got to tackle this. We have to do something about this food. It's something that we can't just procrastinate on. We have to act on it fast, because once they eventually control all of the seeds, you're going to have a government that's going to have all the healthy, natural seeds, and we're going to be eating GMOs. And they're going, like I said, they're going to effectively control life that way. They don't have to go around and exterminate billions of people. Our food is going to do it, because they're going to have all of the clean food, all the natural food, which is why they're harassing all these farmers today. People who are growing organically, they don't want them to have that clean food. So they're telling them the clean food is bad for you. Think about that. They told us the food that we've been eating for thousands of years, with all of the nutrition, it's not good. It's bad. And they're trying to control that. So you don't know, when you go out to buy seeds today, you don't even know if it's completely healthy. You buy seeds in a bag. You don't know what they done to them seeds. You go grow it in your house, or you grow it in your backyard or whatever. You don't know what's done to it. They don't have to label it. How do you know what you buy from the supermarket came from a fresh farm? You don't know. A lot of people don't care. They don't think about stuff like that. You worried about paying bills. You got to go to work. You got kids to take care of. You just think the food is safe. You don't understand that it contains all kinds of chemicals that a couple years from now, you're going to develop breast cancer. You're going to develop some kind of sickness or illness. Your kid might have some kind of chemical reaction to something in the food, and then he's developed all kinds of problems. And this is what we face. You go from the supermarket to the doctor, to the pharmaceutical industry, and then now you got all kinds of medications and pills, and you're not going to make it to 65. And this is the process. So they have effectively controlled our lifespan with the most essential product in our existence, which is our food. If you're not growing and creating your own food, then you are subject to their food supply. It's one of the reasons why, you know, I got out of America. I left America. It's one of the reasons why I left, because the food, I'm noticing what's in the food, and that nobody gives a shit what's in the food. And it's hard when you that one person trying to stand up and save everybody, and everybody don't nobody care. I'm trying to save your life, and they don't give a damn. So when you put out information and people just, you know, yeah, whatever. Some people will listen. I mean, some people will hear it, but they don't listen, and it's like, what's the point? So I hope that doesn't happen with this video. I hope you kind of, you know, go out and do some more information. Now, it's a lot more I wanted to put into this video, but I'm going to save it for part 2 of Saturn, Satan and God and the Nature of Reality, for part 2 of that video, which will be coming out next month, February. And because this is a major point that goes with that video, you know, when I was hitting on the whole energy part, and it's a reason why they, you know, do this stuff with our food. So we'll get into that in part 2 of the Saturn video. But we gotta put together some kind of, I mean, there's a lot of coalitions out there. There's a lot of people out there fighting for the food, a lot of people who understand what's going on. And, you know, if you're not actively, you know, involved in that process by putting out videos or, you know, putting out information, then you have to, because you gotta eat. You probably eat now. You're gonna go eat after this video. You're gonna eat sometime today, and 9 times out of 10, whatever you're going to eat is not good for you. It's not safe for you, and it's probably causing you health problems right now and as we speak, and you have no clue. So, you know, it's something that we can't let them get 100% complete control over the food supply. And luckily, it's other countries out there who completely fight against GMOs, GMO seeds, and, you know, all these, you know, farm raised catfish and salmon and all this. Come on. I mean, these people actually make, you know, a salmon that's not naturally born. It's just they made it in a lab, and they sell it to eat, and it's crazy. So, you know, how advanced they have become with these GMOs is unbelievable. And when you start digging more into it and doing the research, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But wanted to do this video to get out this little bit of information so you understand what's taking place with the food, and that these people controlling the food are all about profit. They're all about control. They are sick, crazy people, and your government is, you know, being bought off by them. So we got to do what we got to do to, you know, stop this. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next video.